Hello, hello, hello. Here we are again to muse heretically on this boringest day of the year when nothing is happening whatsoever in the outside world. Hi, folks.
Oh, come on. It's election day. Vote Al-Malik. If you're in line right now watching this on your think machine, vote
House
Al-Malik.
staccatos. House staccatos. Hiram for Prince.
5 options. 5. Count them. 5 options.
Don't listen to him. He has no elector rods. He has no say in this whatsoever. All right. Here we are. Fading Suns again. Way. We've had some new books out since we last talked. Backers have gotten proof copies of the Faction book and Intrigues and Escapades. And now we're looking at the Faction book. This is where you get all the good weirdos. As you'll see on the cover, there's some Materi, there's a Ganok, there's a Chorister, and all sorts of good stuff. Here we go. Let's take a peek at this. Yeah, this book includes all the minor factions, which are the minor houses, the sects and orders. That some of them are the pagans, and we've got the minor guilds. There's a ton of those, along with aliens and the changed and the cyborgs, those with cybernetics. And we'll thumb through. You see there's a lot of table of contents there.
So how do I build a Ganok with cybernetics?
You make him a cyborg as his calling.
No, very carefully so as to avoid the stench.
You can't avoid the stench.
That joke goes back to the Second Republic, Bill.
There, you can't avoid the stench, sorry. Unless you have unholy ingredients, and that's another book entirely.
Oh, yeah. That's a
right.
book.
Here we go. Don't get drunk and yell at your friends. That's what that picture is all about.
More unholy ingredients.
People, here we go into
5-card tarot, Pentacles Wild.
Yeah, the minor houses. Everybody loves the minor houses. And we go alphabetically. We start with the newest one, House Eldred. This is the Voldrak house of what was Thane Eldred of Hargard. Now the sort of queen mother of sorts to the known worlds.
Isn't this just a ploy by the Emperor to start a whole new imperial house?
Well, that's just a rumor. A well-founded rumor, but a rumor.
And yes, there has been at least one person who Alexius knighted to be an imperial knight, but that was not a constant thing.
Right.
There was some blowback.
Yeah, as we go through, we get to see all of them. There's the House of Wondastus. They've got a lot of weirdos in their house.
It's very being bad at table manners. They're the best table flippers there are. Ah!
Yeah. They've got very good reason to flip tables, darn it.
Yeah.
No one can blame them.
And Call Me notes the holy axe of spraying to cover the stench. That's the unholy stench we're avoiding. It's a Ganok axe.
Yep. House Justinian. These poor guys longing for their lost world.
That's a plenty. Glad you've been enjoying reading through the minor houses. Yeah, they are a lot of the fun stuff. It's so much fun to play them. Constantly picking on the big ones, but always striving.
They're good folks. Here we've got Kada of Grail. They actually are the only minor house right now to have an entire world under their sway. Well, not the entire world, but enough of it where they control the interstellar resources.
Dominant faction on the planet. That is rare within the known worlds.
Yes, it is. It's interesting. Here we go. The Materi, the table flippers.
Call Me is rubbing it in. Sucks to be Materi.
It sucks even worse to be a Materi on Absolution.
Oh, yeah. Good old Absolution. That's where everyone wants to be.
Yep.
Good.
Yes, one of the other new houses, Ramakrishna, another Hargard house. They helped act as the go-betweens between Alexius and Eldred to arrange for his marriage. And in return, they got recognized as a noble house.
So it's interesting. The other houses could have contested both of these. and said they're only a minor house in the eyes of the imperial government. But clearly there was enough influence in the church and trying to send missionaries and the Merchant League trying to send traders that the other groups didn't raise as much of a fuss as you think they might have.
Well, everybody wants a piece of Hargard on some way, and pissing off Eldred and Ramakrishna are not the ways to go about it. Now, that doesn't mean you can't backstab them when you get the right chance to do so, but for right now, it seemed the best route.
And remember, minor houses can make pacts with the major houses, and that always works out well for the minor house.
Of course. And here's how Shellet. Those guys are the strange cyborgs of Hera. They get way too involved in those cybernetics for the church's taste. But what are you going to do? They're a noble house. They are needed to claim Hera from those crazy Kurgans.
Evil, heretical. Wouldn't have anything to do with the heresy. Babasi Bior, yes, Ravi Shankar is a great soundtrack for Fading Suns. Especially out of Kurgan.
Yep. And here we have House Thana. They are rumored to have a lot of psychics in their membership. So you got to watch them.
But the church does keep a close eye on them. 1, 2, or 3 of those eyes.
Yep. And Torrenson. They're the ones who help everybody else behave.
I mean, they're the good guys, aren't they? I mean, they don't have any of their own schemes under the surface.
There's absolutely no agendas. They're just there to help. Just like every noble house. Just there to help.
Help themselves. Everything you got.
Yep. And then the Truznicron, one of the odder noble houses. And that a lot of animal handlers among them.
And that's not a bad joke. We had an interesting question earlier about their involvement on one of the Ducados worlds, where it's noted that Ducados, they've been there for a while, but the Ducados have given them the deeds to their land. There's an interesting little ploy going on there, where folks already established get recognized as being allowed to be there by the house in power. I mean, it looks like they're just accepting what's already in place. However, over time, people tend to forget those things, and they think they actually owe the greater house a favor for giving them the deed to property they owned anyway. So, always fun there.
It was probably all just in return for their patented DDT that works against the Scorbites. And House Van Gelder. Poor Van Gelder. Nobody thinks of Van Gelder much. But they're still around. They're still kicking. Again, one of the former 10 major houses, but that was a long time ago. And Xanthepe, or Xanthippe, whoever you listen to. They have a lot of moon havens, and they grow wine, but they're also mercenaries. Boy, they're a strange bunch. You do what you can to maintain your power.
You want to fight in 0G, they're good ones.
Yep.
Boss DBR says a sheathed dagger, those Van Gelder. Yeah, with a shocker on it, and possibly a wire blade, too, when you're not looking.
Yep. And here we go. Oh, here's our strange mecha wicker man.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice piece. That guy in there. Bang, bang, let me out! That's really cool.
Ah, yes. Wooden suits and Iron Men.
Yep. And the minor sect.
Call Me says he really likes that picture. Babasti.
That's a good one. And here are the Chorali, the church singers, raising the voice and song to the Empyrean.
And there's no heresy in any of their songbooks.
None whatsoever, except for that rock and or roll music they play.
You're hip to their hop.
And the Hesychasts, the independent monks in their little far-off monasteries dotted throughout the known worlds.
No heresies in their musings.
Nope. But since they're all just hiding out in their little monasteries, nobody gives them much heed. So they're able to get away with a lot.
Ancient vow technology and Anunnaki tech and so forth. Zebulon, superstar.
Incarnates the sort of Protestant heresy of the known world. How dare they? Here's the Natiri.
All right. Fun. Always good to play.
Yep. Preceptors.
Heresy!
Yep. They actually think scholarship is a religious endeavor worth pursuing. How dare they?
They want thought based in science. They want results, fact-based results. Please.
They actually think serfs deserve to read.
Oh, what
fools. We'll put a stop to them sooner than later. And the Voavenlogian, the Obun sect, which the Universal Church kind of tries to pretend isn't there, and yet one of the prophet's disciples was Venlogi, so you can't run too far from them. You got to bring them in.
Just hope they keep fitting under that carpet.
Here they are.
Get the broom out whenever they're around, and sweet.
And the pagans, the children of Zoran. They wander around the known worlds with their very strange religious concepts, but they're not too dangerous. So
watch out when they land in your village or on your village.
Yeah, but they have the fun festival, so everybody wants them to come by every now and then, but then leave as soon as that's over. And Gyarti, the Universal Mother. These are the woodland style pagans.
And they're still pretty, that's still found kind of commonly in Hawkwood territory.
Yeah, on Lemonkine and especially, and certainly in some of the Voldrock worlds too.
Call me says that the Zoranists have secret planets and their spies are everywhere. That is absolutely correct, as any Avestite will tell you. Hey, I've seen this picture before.
That's a good one from the cover of the character book. And here's just a sidebar giving you a quick rundown of the type of theurgy you can expect from these sects. We don't have a lot of room here to go in much detail. We will eventually, hopefully, do a theurgy book giving you all sorts of great new detail. Yeah. Although I can say that the Gyarti magic will be visited when we look at the Voldrock.
As will Runecast.
And here we go with the Belters, the Prospectors Guild.
Belters doesn't just mean they slug down scotch all day. They belt other things.
Right. Including those who get in their way. Yeah, there's a lot of guilds here, from the apothecaries. Make all sorts of chemicals. Some that the Sanctuary Aeon wouldn't approve of. To the brewers. Everybody loves the brewers. Everybody wants a brewer on their side. Can't get by without them. Zaza Belta Lauda. And the bureaucrats. Nobody likes the bureaucrats unless they need them to actually tie up the paperwork of their rivals.
Or cut through the paperwork.
That too.
Yeah, I really like the idea of a cohort bureaucrat.
Now, the Carnivalers, one of the two entertainment guilds. These are the menagerie. A lot of aliens and change to join these guys. As you can see now here's a picture of a Shantor. This picture is incorrect, so we'll probably see a different one by the time the book comes out.
But it is correct as a picture of a courtesan, depending on where you are.
It's a changed Shantor. Poor fella. The rest of his kind don't like how he walks on 2 legs when he should be on 4. Yeah, courtesans are always fun. Everybody likes them.
Again, another great Imperial cohort.
Yep, as are the gourmands. Who wants to go off into barbarian space without a gourmand to cook for you? Come on. And to test for poison.
Barbarians.
And look for the poisons. And make the poisons. Yeah, they're good fellows. And the Mask, the other entertainment guild, but these guys are the thespians, the actors.
Now, you don't want to get into the middle of a rumble between the Carnivalers and the Mask.
No, and there's a lot of them.
Why don't we have a rodeo clown guild, Bill?
They're part of the Carnivalers. They're part of their own. They're probably agitating now to become their own guild, but so far the Carnivalers own their contracts. And the Oubliette, the Psychologist Guild, or that's the nice way to put them. You could also call them a Torturer's Guild of sorts. They'll torture you to sanity.
Babaste BR notes that was a Shantor with a bit of Wandasta blood. As far as I know. Palmy says that the Mask and Carnivalers have slap fights. No, they break out all the fake fight gear and go to it. It's all staged. Pedagogues, y'all gotta learn you something.
Yep, teachers' guilds. We all love our teachers.
If you want to indoctrinate, it's also the Indoctrination Guild.
Yes, of course. You got to teach people the right things, the things you pay them to teach. And the promoters. Nobody really gets famous in the known worlds without a promoter to make sure everybody knows who they are.
How much did Alexius pay them?
Good question. And are they still being paid by him?
That's a very good point. Something's keeping his reputation from complete collapse. With all his evil.
Especially now he's consorting with barbarians. And prospectors, we saw them in the full-page art.
Yeah, I love that.
There was a whole knife there.
Both sides of that thing.
These guys are the ones you want if you got to mine the asteroids.
We got to do anything.
The Purgers are the ones. Yep, and the Purgers are the ones you definitely want when you have a space station, because otherwise that place can get pretty nasty.
They're also fun in any sewer adventures. We know how often PCs end up in sewers.
Yep. Way back in the 80s when Warhammer Fantasy came out, I loved that you could play a rat catcher.
Rat catchers, everyone's favorite.
Yep. And Purgers are the rat catchers of the known worlds. Everybody loves the rat catchers.
That's a pretty clean Purger in that artwork.
He's the you go to him to hire. You don't want the stinky ones. That's the ones that actually do the work. And the Slayers Guild. They don't exist. That's just a myth. It's just a myth that there are actually trained hired assassins out there for hire. Who ever heard of such a thing?
Doesn't exist.
Oh, here we have a hieronym as a steward. The Stewards Guild. When you're putting on a party or you got to look good when you're traveling, you certainly want a steward among your entourage. Everybody needs the butlers and the town criers, the gossip mongers.
So if you got a heritage
world
steward, you have a upstairs, downstairs, and pond manor. Sorry, trying to do some sort of British PBS word.
Hearing him with Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
Carson. Town Criers Guild, they're all fun.
Fake criers.
Yeah, they recently had some interesting history with them trying to go legit or at least separate. Didn't work out. Now they're back among the Reeves and are being, proper. Not spreading that fake news anymore.
That's right.
And the Weaponsmiths. Yeah, these are actually more a collection of individual families and stuff under a sort of cartel of sorts.
The Halilale Lama. Love her gossip page. That was fun in the criers. I wish we could figure out who she was writing those.
Yeah,
I could put a finger on who that actually was. And the word rights. People who actually hire to write your hack role-playing games. Boy, what they can do it. 3 talons, a draft.
Call Me asks, meant to ask about the Mitchow family. They moved to Tethys. Does that mean they no longer work for the Hazat? It probably just means that they expanded their business. They probably certainly still have Hazat contracts, especially now that Hazat are, pacifying Hera. They certainly have a lot of need for arms.
But it also speaks to the need that the Imperial forces are having for weapons right now.
Yes.
So keep that in mind as well. Where does the Emperor with his control of Tethys, where's he needing guns right now?
And the Wranglers. If you can't get a high-end truth Necron to deal with your beasts, you certainly want this guild. Somebody's got to take all your brute carts.
Now, for the Ganok Wrangler, does he ride a hull rat?
He rides a legion of them. I've had the impression they now have a low noble status on Tethys. Well, they're certainly treated well, but they're not exactly nobles yet.
They're not a house
yet.
They've not been not been recognized as a house, not even by the Emperor, and certainly not by any of the other houses.
Right.
I mean, the Emperor cannot just wave his magic wand and create a noble house. It has to be accepted, or else it's useless.
He can, but that doesn't mean anybody else treats them like a noble. They have to come to that conclusion, too.
Now, there's a good picture of a Shantor.
There's a Shantor.
Yeah, that's my kind of town right there.
Aliens.
In space, no one can hear you scream, but they can still smell a Ganok.
Scorbites first up in the alphabet. They're the strange insects from Severus, who the Ducatos have to deal with all the time.
If you get a copy of our fiction, that was one of the fun stories in our
Sinful Stars, yeah. There was a Scorbite story in there about the song. Someone severed from it.
And congratulations to the person in the Facebook group, Fading Suns Facebook group, who showed a miniature of Scorbite.
That was cool.
Really cool.
And the Atiri, our winged friends. There's one with a blade.
Call me notes. I had an idea for a nematode parasite that feeds on a Scorbite. When first infection, they're cut off from their song. That's a pretty nasty infection for a Scorbite.
Yes, that'd be terrible. Oof.
Admiral Nelson notes, Ganok smelling the void of space too. Ouch.
In space, no one can smell your stink. Unless you're a Ganok. There's a Ganok. That was a pretty furry one.
Everyone's hero.
Yep.
Yeah,
they're fun, jovial types. But yeah, they do kind of have a stench. So they usually have to put on lots of cologne and perfume and all sorts of other stuff.
Are they born with the cigar in the mouth? No, but the doctor, instead of slapping their bum, shoves it in the mouth. The cigar.
That helps cover the stench. A cigar.
Yeah, the Ganok are kind of a weird race. What else is this particularly weird about them, Bill?
Well, they're immune to symbiosis.
What?
Symbiotes can't seem to get a hold on them. No one knows why. How odd. Unfortunately, what it means is a lot of them tend to try to, let's just say, recruit them for service on Stigmata. But luckily, most of them have joined the guilds and have found ways around and out of that kind of duty.
Call Me says that seems new. No, that's been the case all along.
Yeah, they've always been immune from that. Yep.
The Hieronym, very popular on Ducato's worlds.
Yep, these are a reptilian race.
You'd think that a swamp-dwelling bottom feeder would have no place on a Ducato's world.
These guys are from Cadiz. They have a whole interesting religion built around their god king. Although there's apparently
Hieronym outside of the known world.
As Admiral Nelson says, symbiote spores can't stand their smell either. That's why they're immune.
Smell.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing on the Hieronym is there's an alternate god king who's been discovered on Ivor, and that's causing some interesting issues with their culture.
More heretical musings.
The Ishkin. They're from deep into Voldrock space on, I believe it's Wolf's Lament. But they're found on Hargard also. And now, thanks to the increased commerce, there might be some on Lemminkainen.
So it's funny. I didn't know anyone who had a Ishkin PC during the old versions, but I'm really looking forward to a bunch appearing now.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of them. Well, now we'll see more of them now that they're in the faction book rather than hidden away in a Star Crusade supplement somewhere. But yeah, they have a good ability to hide.
Yep. Very useful in Voldrock space.
The Oroim, the Fishmen,
yeah.
The creatures from the Black Lagoon. Now, they're one of the more interesting ones too, in that they actually have some sort of genetic memory of when their race knew the Anunnaki, which is what they call the God lore. And one of these memories are that they used to fight with another race on their world, which apparently was wiped out, made extinct, called the Nizdarim, who have shown up in the waters of Hargard. What in the...
That's how they got there.
Yep. So,
they're saying so long and thanks for all the fish.
And here we go with the Shantor again. Now this guy, even though he's depicted on two legs, is actually floating. This is Alahad Star Runner, who lives on Cumulus, the space station in the Byzantium Secundus system. Because of all his arthritis, he is on the float. And he is a leader of the frontier for alien rights, FAR.
Surely that organization doesn't exist. Aliens don't need a right. Just a bunch of left. Keep them in line.
There you go. All right. On to the changed. The mutants.
Never a problem with them. Yeah! Goodness gracious, I know there are any pictures of me in this book.
You were the model.
The Tupac of the Shantors. Leading the way.
Yeah, now the changed are the genetically engineered. And there's a host of weird versions of them. And the church doesn't like them. You're messing around with the Pancreator's plan once you start fooling with DNA and stuff. But of course you can play them. We break them into different categories, such as the Inhumans and the Animalized. The Animalized is self-explanatory. Been turned into things like Catman. And
they were very popular for a while in the Second Republic. People
loved to mess with their DNA back then. One of the reasons they fell. They're mutants also in the tweet.
Evil.
And that's probably a Grimson there. Yeah, that looks like a Grimson there on the left. I mean, on the right. Excuse me. Got turned around.
Could be a Grimson bending steel with her bare hands as well.
That could be. You never know. But I think she would be bigger if that was the case. Mm-hmm. And here's the metonyms. They can look like anybody. And I love the fact that the layout guys put a picture of Alexius under the metonyms. It seems to confirm the rumor that, sometimes when you see him out waving to the crowds, it might be a metonym.
That's evil. And clones are certainly the worst of all, because we have no idea which are what.
Yep. It's hard to tell a clone just by looking at him. And interestingly enough, there's a picture of Salandra Ducatos. Why would that be here?
Stop cloning around, Bill.
And here you get a list of all sorts of different powers you could get for your changed, from chameleon to claws, elongated fingers, a lot of strange stuff, enhanced intellects too.
I certainly like all of the different perks, before we called them perks, that people came up with in the earlier editions. I'm looking forward to those, making the transition over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Babasti, Alexius went right there with that magnificent beard. It is a different look. Some say it's the cold of Hargard. We'll see.
Well, he is number one. He's number one. Yeah, there's a lot of fun ones here. Here you get somebody with their own little Quato, which is a hidden body inside their own
that was
body.
a good one to come up with back in the day.
Yep. Horns and pheromones. No wonder the church doesn't like these guys.
Can I have a chain
Tentacles?
mechanic with stinky pheromones?
You can have whatever you want. But the church won't like them. Now on to the cyborgs and cybernetics.
Yay! Church loves this stuff.
Yep. Here we talk about cybertech, which in this edition is handled through perks. The idea being is when you have a perk, you've integrated it, so you don't have to worry about too much cyber psychosis. However, these things do count towards your technosis. So using them, if you're overloaded, having too many high-tech devices, you can come under certain of the compulsions these techs can cause.
Now, people trace this back to before the First Republic, where people with too many devices had massive distraction problems, attention problems, all these gnosis. I mean, they go way back, even before the interstellar period of humanity.
Yeah, this is back to the Earthbound First Republic era. You get some messy, tech level 5 cyber tech, and it gets better as time goes on. Some really sweet Second Republic era tech.
Yeah, allegedly the tech compulsions back in the pre-First Republic era. I mean, people couldn't drive their cars and believe weird stuff, weird fake news, and so forth. Babasti BR says that the main character is a Ducatos Boyer with some cyber.
Just
the Ducatos don't have much cyber. Come on.
They're not into that stuff.
1 or 2 groin guns, an exoskeleton.
Yeah, this is another category the church isn't appreciative of. Again, you're messing with the Pancreator's plan for your body. But if you wish to, you can be a cyborg. Here's the calling for cyborg. That allows you to choose the cyborg perks. And we also throw in the cybernetics lore. It's one of the medical lores, if you wanted to learn some of that. And here we come into a bunch of NPCs for all the guys we've seen previously.
There's not a specific guild for cybernetics. In fact, much of it seems to be spread out in a lot of different guilds. The engineers certainly like to think that they're it, but oubliettes and pretty much all the guilds find a place to find specific cyborg changes that help them out. So it's interesting that no one guild controls it.
I'm sure there's a few Weaponsmith families who are making cyber tech, but they're not something we've delved into too much.
So the personalities, these are all ready for NPCs?
These are all headlines. Some are agents, NPCs for dropping these guys into your game, like Mama Zenith there from the Children of Zoran. If you wish to get your fortune told, you go to Mama Zenith.
And she doesn't do anything wrong about that. Look at all that.
Yes, apothecaries were earlier in the book. They were the first ones under the minor
guild, Babasti.
Guilds. Yep. So yeah, these, again, just a bunch of cool folks to screw over the troop or help them out, depending on what they do. Here is the angel Kalandra, an Etiri who plays basically angels in Magic Lantern plays and has become quite famous and beloved for it.
And certainly going to be going crazy and starting to believe that it was one. Part of
Here's old Smitty Gannock. He's a town crier detective. He's basically a reporter. He's going to go get the real story. And I think he's on the cover too. I think he's also got a cigar.
Gannock on the cover.
Yep.
Changed are always fun. Oh, Prospector, that's fun.
Yep.
Questing Knight. The changed among the questing knights?
No, never.
Protection for their wicked ways?
It's one way to do it. I think that's it. I think we're at the end of the book there.
Good stuff. Great book.
So yeah, awesome. Thanks for scrolling through that, Robert. Behind the scenes there.
Chat who's gotten it has been enjoying it. Like they said, fun read for the minor houses and everything else.
Yep. So maybe we can take a peek at the Intrigues and Escapades book. We won't go too far into that because some of that is dramas, and we don't want to spoil that for the players who might be looking at this. But the first part of the book has a lot of advice for game masters, but it's okay if players see that stuff too. And as you see here, the cover is a duel.
How the way that most Intrigues and Escapades end up.
Indeed. Two people ready to fight.
Settled on the field of honor, or something different if the Mikado's involved.
It's still field of honor. They just know how to cheat best on that sort of thing. Yep, there's the full page shot with the sky and the grass blowing in the wind. And we'll run through on the table of contents. We start with just a short intro, as the whole book is really a primer on Cutthroat Society. Basically, this is there to help game masters run games of the schemes and the intrigue and all that Game of Thrones kind of stuff. Yep, Game of Thrones. It's certainly a well-known trope now, thanks to the big series, to have these kind of noble infighting.
Bill, we just didn't kill off enough of our major characters.
Oh, you never know. You don't want to do it off screen. You want to wait till everybody loves them again, and then you take them out. The first chapter here is on nobles. There you see a new baby, a new noble, yay! But now, of course, they've got to protect this kid from all sorts of machinations by rivals. So basically, this chapter shows you what it's like to be a noble, from birth all the way up to starting your schemes, and all the sort of upbringing and education you learn on how to screw over others and play the game, basically.
Babaste has a good note about Ducado's dueling. Heard during one of my duels, the way you fight is immoral. Babaste's Ducado's boyer response, dying is immoral.
Well, it depends on who dies now, isn't it?
Me die. That's right.
Yep. So yeah, in this chapter here, you get a talk about nobles, what it's like, what happens when there's a birth announcements, how this stuff goes out, the etiquette on these sort of things, and then the education they start to begin with. Some are sent to academies where they sort of learn among other nobles, like the Invictus Academy.
Phil, I'll let you handle Admiral Nelson's question.
Which was that? Talking about Game of Thrones, did you kill George R. R. Martin's character when you had him as a player? He's referring to a StokerCon where I ran a game of Werewolf. George R. R. Martin played in it, and no, he did not die. Although all he seemed to want to do was look for treasure. And is there a sorting hat? No, not officially, because they're already pre-sorted by the time they get here. That's the thing about nobles. You had to be born into those families mostly.
They were born
adopted.
Sorted.
Right. If you're adopted... Oh, by the way, in this picture, which I like, you see the secret hall, which somebody's listening in on to other noble kids. That's not a very Gryffindor thing to do, of course. So yeah, that's the whole thing, is they're sent to some of these boarding schools to sort of learn how to scheme or join a hookup with the other up-and-coming nobles, so they get into their entourages early. And then the squiring phase, once they've graduated from these little academies. Sometimes it's just private learning at the manor, but then they go on to becoming a squire and what that's all about before they can be knighted.
But if you do want to run an interesting campaign, there are indeed these schools that teach nobles from a variety of houses. And it's an interesting because they are young, so they still have authority, but I mean the pedagogues and others of the guilds are essentially their superiors, so creates a lot of interesting dynamics.
Yeah,
and
that whole
the pedagogues are there.
There's a whole genre, you could say, of boarding school fiction. Harry Potter is just one of the more famous ones, but you can certainly run a whole campaign of nobles in their boarding schools, and what happens there is certainly going to affect them the rest of their lives.
And could alien nobles be there too? In my campaign, yes.
Alien nobles, good lord. Yes, depends on the academy, I guess, which ones they accept. So it took you from knighthood, and now we discussed marriage. What happens when you actually, marriage? Sometimes it's arranged, sometimes it's not. There's got to be prenups, of course. There's all sorts of issues of affection, if it's there. And then the whole great game of being a noble and the kinds of intrigues you're going to be expected to engage in.
Bubaste is musing on some heresies in chat.
Manja is actually mentioned in this book. It's not dealt with in a full way, introduced in terms of the theurgy we've detailed before, but one of the dramas does, I will spoil it and say, does deal somewhat with Manja. But I don't want to talk too much about that because it is a drama and you might want to run it for your players, and you don't want them watching this and finding all such stuff.
Bill, why don't we summon one of your ancestors to tell us more about that adventure?
That would be heretical. That's the demon Lihalan and their Manja worship. And then here's what happens when things go bad and you've got to fall from grace. And of course, one of the responses is revenge.
And the second response is revenge, and the third response is revenge.
And then duels. And there's another one. Duels are supposed to settle the issue, of course. Rarely do. But so, yeah, if you want to run your Three Musketeers in space game, this is the way to do it. And then, of course, what happens when a noble dies? How do others inherit? What's the funeral like? And so on. Yes, as Call Me asked, so Manja was the pre-conversion of the Lihalan. It was one of the religions that the pre-conversion Lihalan followed.
To be honest, it was one of the nicer ones.
It was ancestor worship, and still is, among those who dare to do it.
Bobaste notes, my name is Inigo Dahazat. You killed my father, prepare to die. Yes, but I was only dueling with my left hand.
Some people recognize her right there. That's Arian Lihalan.
A noted duelist and explorer and adventurer.
Yep.
Made famous by the writings of her father confessor.
Yep. Old Giuseppe Lustro.
But just wait till you see him release the actual book of her confessions. That will be a bestseller.
And here we get into the priests. And what sort of possible intrigues could the priests get up to? None, of course. They're all too holy to involve themselves in such things. So it'll be a short chapter, right? Wrong.
Intriguing.
So yeah, a lot of people don't know, what to think about plotting priests beyond, say, Cardinal Richelieu and the Three Musketeers. So this is a primer chapter on the sorts of things these guys get up to when they're not just preaching their sermons.
Now we talk about our other game, Merchant Prince, where you could...
like this picture, for instance, I just got to break in while we're at it here. Priests counting money? What in the world do they need money for? My God, those couldn't possibly be brother battles.
Surely they're just cleansing the money of...
yes, that's it. Of course. They took it aside to cleanse it.
They're not money lenders at all.
Yep.
Call me.
Church Feast book was released during 3E. We'll eventually, hopefully, get to detail some of the stuff that was in that Church Feast book. Again, revisit it.
Everything's advanced in timeline.
Yeah, we're 20 years on from when that, well, not full 20 for that book. That book came out a little bit later, but we're about 15 or so years on. So, yeah, it's going to be a while till we get the full update on those. Like, for instance, I can say right now one of the forthcoming books will be a Brother Battle book, and that will detail Desmoulins. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? Calinthi in action. The Calinthi is a order within the church of sort of basically demon hunters, occult hunters.
Jane Fonda, so they exercise.
Yep. And we talk about the confessional, and of course the seal of the confession, keeps your secrets safe. They wouldn't dare use that against you.
Or tell anyone else.
No, of course not. Yep. So yeah, this chapter will give you all sorts of advice on what they're up to, and how you too, as a church person, can try to push around those noble houses. So it's basically in a big advice chapter. There's our silver jump gate cross.
Lovely.
Yep. Priests and their sees. Yes, talks a lot about little independent cults of sorts that some priests try to create also. They get a little too full of themselves sometimes, and the big church has to come in and nip this stuff in the bud.
But it is interesting to think that the church itself perhaps owns more land even than the emperor within the known world.
Yeah.
They're on every single planet. They own a significant amount of land. There's not a single planet they don't, and they control a number of planets outright. Of course, then it's divided among the sects. So, but the church itself, theoretically, is just about the biggest landowner.
Yep. Call Me says, I was thinking there is no upside-down jump gate cross to indicate evil. That is true. It's because evil has nothing to do with the prophet and the Empyrean. Antinomus Grimshaw jump cross. He could. There is the dark sign that is branded upon Antinomus and those, yes. And in the special D20 die that was offered as part of the Kickstarter, the big aluminum die, the dark sign takes the place of the 20, which you don't want to roll in Fading Suns, unlike other games. Here's a picture of a heist against a Hawkwood bank.
Hawkwood Bank? Even the nobles aren't supposed to lend money. But
this is what the merchants get up to. All sorts of stuff. Money, power, secret technology. All the sorts of things the church doesn't want them to get up to. And they do. So yeah, if you have a merchant character, or if you are running merchants as your headliner NPCs, this chapter here will give you all sorts of ideas on the kinds of things they're up to, the double crossings and the secrets.
Kicking upstairs to the Godfather, to the Dean of the Guild.
Yeah, of course. Yes, the way they actually maintain their power against all the other factions in the universe. They've got to be on their toes more than a lot of those other guys. Even the merchants really don't want a Third Republic, Call Me says. Well, of course not. The Third Republic would be heretical. Most of them don't. A few of them harbor such a heresy, yes.
After all, one of the issues about the Second Republic was that monopolies weren't really a thing. Trade was ensured that no groups would theoretically become that powerful.
Right. A world without monopolies.
Tommy says the merchants only make noise about it to scare the others into giving the merchants more rights.
Good theory. Yeah. There's a charioteer there. flying her ship, looking at her loved ones in the photo.
Why do pilots always have vests?
Because it gets hot on those ships. You can't always control the temperature so easily.
How many parsecs is she making that run in? The Kada run.
No one knows what a parsec is anymore in the known worlds. They lost all that knowledge. Yeah, so there's a little guild by guild breakdown on the major guilds and kind of some of their intrigues. And now you too get involved. The Scravers, of course. Perfectly upright guild. Ganok, yay! Now here's probably where we should come to a stop, because these are the dramas, and we don't want to give them away. What about that
Harguard drama? Harguard!
Oh no, no looking, no peeking. Although this is a guild of Ganok weaponsmiths, I will say that.
They make weapons out of Ganoks? I like it.
Ganok are living weapons. So yeah, those are two of the books that came out recently. And thanks for looking at them with us.
The Ka oil, the burning oil. Yes, Babaste. To flame some things once in a while. So, I also promised to talk about the upcoming Siege Convention, Southern Interactive Entertainment and Game Expo, that I'm putting on the weekend of November 13th to 15th. We've announced the schedule. Whoops, that's not the schedule. Let's get
I'm gonna turn on the light.
Get my actual
It was getting so dark while I was concentrating on those books.
Why is it getting dark or early?
So, which book deliverable is next? Admiral Nelson asks. I'm trying to remember what is coming. It's going to be the Imperial Dossiers. Those should be out. This should be the next up, which are House Hawkwood, Earth Orthodox, and the Reeves Guild. And each of those dossiers, it has part of it covers the faction, and then part of it also covers some element in the known worlds that is common to everybody, but is, it's a good place to talk about it in those books. So House Hawkwood has what we call a fact book on the nobility and the ranks and how that works for everybody. Earth Orthodox has something on scripture that's pretty universal even among the other sects. And the Reeves talks about money. Money. So yeah, so what's up with Siege, Andrew? What's happening?
Apparently I was on the wrong account.
Uh-oh.
Let's try it now.
The right account.
All right, there we go. Yep. Thanks, Ulysses International. Yes, with Siege. Mainly computer game convention, but we're starting to do more and more tabletop as well. We've got a fun workshop on dice statistics and different dice mechanics for tabletop gaming, run by the creator of a recent game called Lightning War, which is a fun edition of a fellow man named Ben Sandfelder, and that precedes our game design improv. So if you want to try your hand at designing games after seeing that, it'll be a great opportunity. You can check out the sessions and the schedule in this list. We've got a mix of workshops and presentations. The presentations by gaming greats like Will Wright, talking about his creative process, and also workshops on a lot of tools from more involved, higher level, or more technically proficient, specific Unity and Unreal workshops, but also some great workshops on introductory tools, great for prototyping video games or getting into the video game industry, like Twine and the Fusion engine from Click Team. Both of those very simple to use, great ways to prototype games or to make entire games in and of themselves. We're going to have a lot of sessions on development, programming, audio. We're going to have a really neat art contest involving collaborative character design using some really neat art tools. And Will Wright will actually be releasing his latest set of tools to build user-generated content for his upcoming computer game at our convention. So check out that list. Check out everything going on at Siege. And if you
and to be clear, though, it is online this time, so you don't have to come down to Georgia for it.
The devil, you say? Yes, you do not have to be in Georgia for this. You'll watch it all online on the Georgia Game Devs YouTube channel. And we'll also have the workshops on Zoom to register for. So a lot of good content, and it's good content whether you are interested in being a game dev, are a game dev, or just want to see how the whole process works. And got some plenty. You're welcome. He said, thanks for another look through the new books. So good to see Fading Suns carrying on.
Yeah. Thanks for being here with us to listen to us rattle on and muse heretically about all these books. There's more coming, all more in the works.
And certainly interested in the last 5 minutes hearing other things that you all would like to see come out from Fading Suns. We've talked about a few of them already. Ulysses International notes, stay with us after the Heretical Musings to raid the WebDM channel for the Dark Eye Adventures in Aventuria actual play. But we're always interested to get feedback from you. That's part of the reason for these streams, hearing what you like, what you've enjoyed, and what you'd like to see in the future. So don't hesitate to let us know. We are also available in the Ulysses International Discord channel. And
we answer a lot of questions there. So if you have questions about stuff, you can ask those on the Discord channel, or you can go up to the Facebook pages too, Fading Suns. There, and we try to monitor those as much as we can. There's other players there who'll help answer questions.
Babasti BR is looking forward to the Portuguese translation for Brazil. Bill, do you know anything about the translation schedule?
I do not. That's something I hope to look into.
Yeah, because back in the day, we had this translated in, what, about a dozen languages?
Oh, let's see. We had a German edition, Spanish edition. I don't remember if we actually had a Portuguese edition.
No, I'm pretty sure we had Portuguese.
I don't know. We might have.
I'll ask Babasti.
It was definitely Polish.
Portuguese version?
Yeah, it was Polish. Certainly a lot of my White Wolf stuff made it down to Brazil, too.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere I have a copy of a Brazilian Hunters Hunted. I don't know where it is. But
that was a fun book back in the day.
Yeah.
Bill's first book for White Wolf.
First full book. Yep.
First full book. Yep.
Way back.
Indeed. Whoever made the mistake of hiring you, I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, God, some fool.
Look what it's led to.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Can't think of anything else right now to mention.
All right.
Hopefully next time we'll have some more cool new books to show. Hopefully, I know the production team's moving ahead.
Currently set to stream again on the 17th. I hope to be recovered by Siege before then. But please go ahead and look into Siege. Oops, I didn't. Yes, I put the Siege session.
Well, I certainly hope
more information.
We'll all still be around then after today's results.
All right, call me. You know where to find us. Who says questions but no time? And Babasti, thanks you for translating some of the books. That's awesome.
Yep. Hey.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
All right. See y'all next time.